In negligence claims, once the claimant has established the defendant owes them a duty of care, they must then prove that they are in breach of duty. Breach of duty is decided by the objective test. This means the defendant is expected to meet the standard of a reasonable person in the same circumstances. In applying the objective test, the courts weigh up certain risk factors. The courts use these risk factors to determine if the defendant has acted reasonably. If they are deemed to have acted reasonably, they are not in breach of duty and not liable to pay compensation. The risk factors include 1. Likelihood of harm. 2. Seriousness of potential harm. 3. Cost of prevention. And 4. Utility of the defendant's conduct. The defendant is not expected to guard against events which cannot be foreseen. In Roe v. Minister of Health, the defendant was not liable as the minuscule cracks in the ampoules for storing the anesthesia were not visible to the naked eye, and so the risk could not be foreseen. In Bolton v. Stone, the cricket club were not liable as it was unlikely that a ball would be hit out of the ground. Evidence was produced that it had only occurred on 6 occasions in 30 years. In Haley v. London Electricity Board, the court rejected the argument it was not foreseeable a blind person would be walking unaccompanied, as the defendant hadn't even done enough to safeguard the risks to a sighted person. In the Wagon Mound No. 2, the seriousness of harm was so great, it mattered not that the likelihood of harm was so low. The oil leak would have cost nothing to prevent. It was simply closing a valve. So, in weighing all the risk factors, the court held there was a breach of duty. Paris v. Stepney established that the vulnerability of the claimant will be taken into account. The claimant only had sight in one eye, so the seriousness of harm to him was much greater. The employer should have provided safety goggles and were in breach of duty for not doing so. In Latimer v. AEC, it was held that there was no obligation to close the factory. The defendant was only required to do what was reasonable in the circumstances, not go to every length and expense to prevent it. By putting up warning signs and putting down sawdust, they had acted reasonably. The court will also consider the social utility of the defendant's conduct. That is how useful their action is to the community. For example, in Bolton v. Stone, it was considered providing a cricket ground was beneficial to the community. In Watt v. Hertfordshire, the emergency of saving life outweighed all the other factors. In summary, once it has been established that a duty of care arises, the claimant must show the defendant was in breach of duty. This means they have fallen below the standard of a reasonable person in the same situation. The courts weigh up the risk factors in deciding if the defendant has acted reasonably. These include likelihood of harm, cost of prevention, seriousness of harm, and the utility of the defendant's conduct. This video is part of a series of videos on tort law from www.e-lawresources.co.uk. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free to do so and will help us to keep providing these videos. Check out our website, which provides lecture outlines and case summaries. See also www.e-lawrevision.org.uk for revision games and quizzes. Thanks for watching.